So what do you need to change about that? You need to focus on yourself. How do we do that? We don't become blind to everything around us, but we have an incredible desire to help ourselves. You know how people say, may I help you? Ask yourself, may I help myself? Give yourself permission to help yourself. Because if you're always thinking about making the change, but never doing anything about it, you're never going to see that change.
Connecting with our moods and minds, understanding that all growth will take some time. So we give you motivation for transformation to that wellness you're probably thinking about. Facing them challenges, you doing fabulous. We talk about emotions and how you cope it inside. Facing the lion podcast. So if you keep trying to find us, look on YouTube, Instagram, or that Facebook Live. Or Spotify. If you don't catch us, we get it. Look in our YouTube, it's in it. And just in case you forget it, it's called Vibe Talk Facing the Lion Podcast. It's called Vibe Talk Facing the Lion Podcast.
Good morning and welcome to Vibe Talk. Finally, Friday. We are here, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. And we want to say hello to you and to our community and beyond. If you're here, you are more than welcome to put your hand up on the electronic side. We want to make a couple of announcements as we're here with you. We are Vibe Talk Finally Friday, and this is a group session. And here's what we are doing. We want to be on Zoom as much as we can, or be on live, so that everyone can reach us. Your questions that you will ask are at the bottom, and as they're at the bottom, I will take the opportunity to answer all questions. Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast has many outreach programs for your desired listening or classes or workshops. If you'd like a workshop with me, then I suggest that please get in touch with me. Today we're going to talk about emotional resilience. What is emotional resilience? How do we face it? And if you haven't got in touch with our support, our group support, there are recorded sessions for you. We're going to do emotional resilience this week. Go and find others that are live recorded for you. And you can do that by actually um, typing in Vibe Talk Finally Friday. You can even hashtag it. So we're going to talk about uh, emotional resilience. I think that's important. If you guys are getting my podcast today on group session, we actually did a live recording for our Wednesday Wellness, and we were recording without a sound. How about that one? So now we want to fill your cup up with helping yourself, learning how not only to help yourself, but care about you. And this is a group setting. I'd like for you to be mindful of others. How do you respond when situations or challenges, crises, when they come up? How do you respond? Sometimes we don't know how to respond. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's nothing to feel ashamed of because we've all been there. When you think about emotional resilience, you have to think about who you are, what your experiences have been in life. And what do? We start to determine what the perspective is. You know how I always say what, why, how, and where? Ask yourself how you feel about what has upset you past day, past week, even a month or a year ago. Consider everything that has upset you. But I always like to start with the easiest. Start with the easiest of starting with something that really, really upset you, upset your life. Should it even bother you? Because what may bother you may not bother me, but you have to think about it and your resilience. When we think about our resilience, we wish that someone would come and take it away. Or not resilience, but whatever it is that we're dealing with. Someone come and take whatever has got us down, whatever has stopped us from happening. Notice I said stopped us from happening. So if it's a challenging situation or if it's a situation that has bothered you and it has affected your life somewhat, think about the positive. What do you learn from it? What outcome can you take from it? Has it helped you? Has it helped you? The experience of that you're going through the harder challenges in life, has it helped you to gain trust? Not only to gain trust with others, but first think about if you're trusting yourself. So, what can we learn from the things that we've been through? Many of you have spoken with around the globe and the things that you have been through. Nothing is so bad Maybe you might feel traumatized. Maybe you might feel ashamed, afraid, not brave enough. But so many of you have, and I want to commend you for that. Sometimes, even myself, I can be my own worst enemy. So I want you, when you're feeling like this, don't be so hard on yourself. And believe me, I practice what I preach. You deserve better. You deserve good things. I want you to be able to treat yourself when you're feeling better. I want to tell you what I did. I treated myself to ice cream. Lately, I've been doing that because I love ice cream. Ice cream and popcorn, I love because it helps me to think about the things that I like. You don't always have to wait for someone to give you something that you like. You can reward yourself. You know, what are we emotionally being resilient from? Let's think about this. We're going to talk about some things because it's so important. There's three things that I want you to think about. When you're feeling emotionally resilient, you're bouncing back from something that feels like stress. And why is it caused? We're no doctors, but I am a certified life coach, counselor, certified. I'm not a medical doctor, just for the record. Stress is what causes us, or what can be one of the things that we need to be emotionally resilient from. You can learn to cope. And that's why we have a workshop such as this one. So you can work on it, work it out, work on you. Stress. Self-esteem is one of the things that make us feel like we just can't get emotionally resilient. Because how we feel about ourselves, our thoughts and our feelings, and how we behave, how can you bounce back? What can you do? Anxiety starts like this. It does affect you. It will affect you. So, what do? My inspiration for today is to feel like you belong. I want everybody, when you hear this, to write the inspiration, I feel like I belong. Sometimes you have to say that to yourself more than once, more than twice, or even write it somewhere where it is a safe space for you. I feel like I belong. Simple enough. Maybe you don't believe it. How many of you actually do feel like you belong? I want you to think about what you've been going through lately. If you're having internet connection problems, please let me know in the comments. Our number is 1-888-721-9260 and locally 661-795-0475. So we think about emotional resilience. How do you respond to the things that we just mentioned, the three things we mentioned? What is your way of responding? Sometimes when I'm under stress, I withdraw. What about you guys? Do you withdraw? Do you write? Do you make music? And I want to tell you something. Some of the greatest musicians write as they are going through some of the hardest challenges in their lives. And that's why I like to listen to facts about musicians, how they got started. Uh, they're so talented. Might that be you? In that you like music, you like dancing, you like sports, so you get into that. And what your endeavor is to do is to bounce back, or get on your feet. Your emotional resilience is dependent upon you. We talked about your age, your identity, what you've experienced. And that's why group session is so important in Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. It's one of our workshops, and it's important because you're going to hear of others who come in, who get online, who say, I can relate, or speak up because one, two, or three spoke up. I want you to think about the types of emotional resilience. Um, when you're thinking about your emotional resilience, each of us here today have had to go through different experience. No two will be exactly alike. Come a little closer. I said no two would be exactly alike when it comes to emotional res- resilience. We all have different experience. And that's what makes us unique. Our different emotional resilience. We learn through each other. Is there someone's experience that you have learned from? Is there someone's experience? We always answer when you come to a group meeting like this, how, what, and why. Sometimes where. And I say where because we must identify how it started. And if we don't know, where did it start? What happened in your life to make you even think about, gosh, I need to feel better, or gosh, I need to do something best for me. All into being well, caring for your well being. So, how do we do it? What have you done to make it better? We have to develop tools. And if you've been with me long enough, you know that the greatest tool that you could ever have is your mind and your heart. Your mind and your heart And I ask for everyone who's ever been a part of Life Talk Facing the Lion podcast to think about the mind and the heart. They belong to you. No one thinks exactly the way you think, and no one feels exactly the way you feel. We've all experienced emotions. We identify with what is sad, what is happy, what is joyful, what is ecstasy, what is depression. But the cause of it is going to be different from somebody else's. So with that experience, what we do is we learn to adapt as we develop our mind and our heart. That space for us grows in a way that it starts to mature as we go through things. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you're a baby does what? Cries. That's their form of expression. That's their form of communication. A baby cries. A baby can develop into communication skills, their ability to speak and use words. They start with one word, little words, and then they go to school and they develop their speech through reading. You see the steps. See, I don't want you to be at a baby stage where you are not able to know what to do when you're feeling like you need to get back to emotional resilience. Emotional resilience. You know, you know, I find that people say snap out of it. Is that easy for you? Only you can answer that. You are able to practice mindfulness with the power of your brain. As we experience things, sometimes we have it where we are experiencing something a second time around. And I love the saying of one of my friends who has passed away. And the famous saying that she would always say is, when people learn better, they do what? Do better. So with your experience, even if you have repeated it twice, you should be learning better so that you can do better. Let's go back to the baby that only knows how to cry. If you are adult age, are you still crying in communication? Because some of us still do that. We may cry out and nobody understands. Nobody understands better than the person who had you in most cases. And that is so amazing to me how we come to understanding our babies before they learn the language of speech, of talk. They cry and we say, "Are you wet?" So what do? They're home for the first few days of their life. We learn their cry for that. Mommy, Daddy, change my diaper. Then we say, "Oh, that cry. We know what that cry is." And then they cry out and we say, "Oh, I'm making your bottle." How do we know this? Because we've learned the language. Some of us are still crying out. Did you notice that I said that twice? And yet, when babies are able to do that, they're trying to tell you something. Have you been trying to tell somebody something? help. I can't take it another day. I'm overwhelmed. I need attention. Right now, as you look at the language that you have been communicating, has anybody other than yourself been able to understand it? And even more personal, do you even understand? Because you see, those cries should be clearly evident by your brain. Sometimes we may find ourselves asking people, how are they feeling? How are they doing? And as we say, how are you feeling? How are you doing? How many of you have heard or said, I don't know? See, you have the ability to be able to understand. And millions of dollars have been given to others to help you understand yourself. Now, I'm not telling you don't go to help, professional help other than what you're hearing today. What I'm simply saying is your powerful tool is your brain. Practice trying to understand and be like that baby, as it were, to yourself. Sometimes we cry, and nobody ever comes. Maybe that's happened in your life. We cry those communication skills. Nobody's able to say, oh, I understand that cry. Oh, that one's this one. I want you to get connected to your sounds of what you need and tell yourself. Such as needing a break. How many times have you really needed a break and you didn't take it? And you will give 10 reasons of why you didn't take that break, no matter what it is. Everyone needs a break. The mind-body system, without being a medical doctor, knows when it's tired. And when your body-mind system cries out to you to help, I need help, I'm tired, please listen to it. Please listen to that cry. Emotional resilience is all about adapting. I want you to write that word down. Recovering. And then is Dory on Finding Nemo. Finding Dory said the famous line, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. So that means to keep going. Keep going. You have to do it to the point of no return. That is why we are discussing this today, this emotional resilience. How many of you actually have taken a break because you just needed a break? I'll tell you what, we haven't been here in almost a month. I went to Florida, and I went to Florida because I knew we were taking the trip, and I needed a break. So when you need a break, don't punish yourself for that. When you need a timeout, it's easy for us if you're a parent, a teacher, especially with the little guys, to give them a timeout. But how many of you have given yourself a timeout? Not because you've done something wrong, but because you needed a break, even if it's a short one. The thought of your learning resilience comes at a very early age. But did you know that you could learn it at any age? And if today is that day where you're learning resilience, you're learning how to cope, you're learning how to improve, mark this day down. So when we think about emotional resilience, it benefits us because we are at risk where we live. Anywhere you turn around, mental health is being affected. Yours, mine, and ours. We're able to say, hey, this is too much. If you've got any type of social media and you've been on social media for a long time, we all like social media. We all use it for different things. But is there a time in your brain where you say, I needed to shut down social media for the day? I needed to turn off my phone for the day. It's okay. That just goes to show you that our mental health, for good or challenging, is being affected. When we have stress, hardship, or emotional pain, it's really important that we think about our own mental health and our own well being. Some people deny themselves access to get mental health. They think it would be a sin to go and see someone or talk to someone professionally. And I'm going to tell you right now, talking to someone kept me alive. Can you understand that? When you are identifying and wanting to get back to emotional resilience. The improvements of being able to access yourself in emotional resilience has improved your mental health and your physical health. And we can strengthen that. And that's why I felt it was important to develop what is now Finally Friday group sessions. Because Finally Friday group session is all about meeting challenges, all about challenges that you're facing, present and past. When we are emotionally resilient, we're able to bounce back. And I like to look at it like this. When you've seen someone that has played in basketball, I always say basketball because I love basketball. One of those players, as he's bouncing around in his sports shoes, he may take a fall. Sometimes, depending on the injury of what has happened or the experience, he has to sit the game out. Now get with me on this. He has to sit the game out until he's starting to feel better. And if it's not so bad, you'll see him in second quarter. And you'll say he hurt himself the first quarter of the game, but he bounced right back. That means he got in the game. The intention was to win that game. his team members are dependent upon it. He may be dependent upon it because they get paid a lot of money. So he's willing to face that pain. He's sitting on the bench. Sitting on the bench. Coach doesn't put him in depending on that injury. Now, we've had some team players that have had to get out, sit down the whole year because their injury was terrible. Their injury prevented them from playing no matter what they did. You know the saying, you got to play to win? I want you to win. That's what I want. Do you want that? We must learn that all of us, with our powerful brain, when our brain says, get up, you can do this, that's going to matter on yourself and your ability. Can you face it? Can you face those lions? And whatever effects it's going to be for the rest of your life. Some people haven't got back in the game of life. Some people have quit in the game of life. They didn't think about winning. They didn't think about being strong. Because a lot of times they just didn't know how. They gave up. I'm still learning. And this skill of learning as an adult, 58 years old, it doesn't go away. I learned to teach others. In order to come here today, I had to take a class. I had to take classes. I had to pass tests to make sure that I was competent enough to be able to be that of a counselor and life coach. What are you going to learn in your skill of resilience? What have you had to learn? What have you done? When we learn resilience, that's the thing to do. You know, like those, some of you can explain the game better than I can when watching basketball and they hurt themselves and they get back in the game. That's the willpower to do so. So we are ordinary people. Let's talk about adaptation. How many of you have had to adapt to something just in the past week, year, month? I think about graduation. The ones who are graduating from high school, they're going to be adapting their lives to some sort of college or job. They're going to need to know about the change. And without experiencing that change that they need to know about, it's going to come upon them with no experience. What is your choice? Are you a person to get overwhelmed? You can adapt to change. We go back to our little ones. Many of you have little ones that are going to be entering into kindergarten. As an educator, when my little ones went to school, they cried for the first day. And I knew that they had to get adjusted. They'd rather be home. They don't want to be at school with strangers and 15 to 30 kids. But after a month or two goes by, they're adjusted. And they've naturally adjusted. Even mine did, as they clung on to me for dear life and wished me to come back. They have adjusted. So now, as we look at our age and experience, how have you adjusted to anything new? Being an empty nester was an adjustment for me. For child one and child two, as they grew up and venture on their own, we as parents must adjust to our young adults' way of life because they've got to grow up. Have you had that adaptation? Maybe you're going through a separation, divorce. Let's hope we're all staying together. But just for the record, you've got to learn to adapt to a new life. New life. Maybe you need to be sober off of something. So now you have went to your AA meetings, you're learning to be sober, you're learning what sobriety means, and you're making a new way for yourself. Strong emotions like anger, fear, sadness, we learn to manage them. How many times have you been angry about something and your anger feels like you're going to blow the lid right off of your head because you're so angry? Or you've been so angry that you felt like fire was coming out of your nostrils. If you've been that's uncontrolled emotion. Because it's going to affect you emotionally and physically. And sometimes we do our bodies and our minds good because we say we need to manage this. It's easy to say, don't be angry. Because I'll tell you what, things have made me very angry. Even with joy. Have you really had joy and it has made you so overwhelmed because you're so happy? I was watching something the other day and it was a really good something. And the little girl that the video was about, I think I know what it was. It was about her having a new sibling that brought her to the hospital and she saw her little baby sibling for the first time. That baby was so taken by emotion, she started to cry unconsolably. Well, something like that needs our help in bringing comfort, bringing reassurance, so that our young ones learn emotion. They learn how to handle it. They learn how to manage this. How many of you have laughed uncontrollably? Been there many of times. And you catch yourself, right? This shows that it can be done. When things are more challenging in life, the resilience of getting back to lifing can be hard, even while facing that lion of challenges. We have to be long-faced, scowl-faced. We can still remain happy. You ever had a person who was happy all the time, never complained? I would suggest, if you're feeling like life has gotten the better of you, to go visit the latest children's hospital and tell them to give you the sickest floor, you'll then come to understand what those children are facing at such a very young age. And yet, they show us the way to practice managing our emotions. I recommend that to anybody. Have a nurse, because we've got a lot of security and we have right to have that. But go to your children's hospital ward and just see the joy on those children's faces who are terminally ill. They'll show you what it means to be optimistic. We are begging you to please reach out. Reach out. Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Sometimes we take a break, but we always have something on you, for you to watch. Or when I say on you, we always have something for you, is lack of a better word. We have something for you to watch. And if you haven't already, go to our YouTube page. Our YouTube page is by the same name, Vibe Talk Facing the Lion Podcast and Healing Center. Have we set realistic goals when it comes to our being and wanting to become resilient in our emotions? Bouncing back just like the team player on the basketball game. You see that practice regularly. I want you to be able to think about the coreness of your heart, getting to the core of your heart, the deepest part of it, by asking yourself, what do I believe? How do I feel? When do I want to work on this? Think about the hard times. What are you facing? When would I like to face it head on? These are all good questions to ask yourself. And I ask today that you manage that by asking yourself about emotional resilience. Because it's one thing to know about emotional resilience, but it's a whole nother thing to put it into practice. When we think about the opposite of emotional resilience, what are we talking here? Let me give you an image, and maybe you can draw an image of yourself, sketch an image of something, and check out the opposites of emotional resilience. Uh, and this is how Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast helps you. Yet it's coming. Bear with me. If you're on here, please let me know where you're listening from. And anybody can get on here. Anyone, if you want to take this class, you may take this class. Let me know you're here. And if you want to talk to me in private, you can call our numbers. So, resilience means strength, right? Persistence, perseverance, power, stubbornness, um, backbone. You're like iron, okay? Now, the opposite are inadequacy, helplessness. You are not inadequate, are you? You're not helpless. You are worth something. You are someone. A lot of times people are so depressed or so down on themselves. And that's what I like to do. That's why we have workshops. That's why I've set up my program for Vibe Talk, Facing the Lion podcast, Healing Center. We do real work on ourselves there. And guess what? Come a little closer. When I work with you, I'm learning new things about myself. And that's what I want you guys to do. Learn new things about yourself. You have the power to push through it. You have the power to push through it. Whatever it is that you are dealing with right now, right here in the presence. Taking a class or going to group session is nothing harmful, and it shouldn't be. The group for Finally Friday is very precious. I want you to tell people, if you care to donate, you can donate right on our Cashapp at Vibetalkfacethelion. I should have had that up, but if you feel like you ever want to donate, please feel free to do so. Feel free to donate at any time, any cause. And you may be wondering, how do we use the money? We help our center. And we have a new private location. Um, and for those of you who want to come to that, when we work with you, we will give you where that location is. So we want everybody to know we do have a new location. And you can access it by walking in, depending on where you live, or Zooming us, or getting on video. Even if you don't have Zoom, you can still video us. So, resilience. Does it matter? Let me ask you. Is strength important to you? Is freedom and independence? Or does trapped, motionless, a safer place for you? Today's Finally Friday, as we've gotten back, please share it with someone you know. We give you total responsibility if you want to post it for your classes, especially college classes, something you like, without making any changes to it. I do not give you permission to dub over this or make changes to it. And I am Nisi Robinson. I am the instructor, the founder, and the creator of Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast and Healing Center, Vibe Talk After Dark radio show, and Vibe Talk. I think of the other one. Vibe Talk Facing the Lion in session. I am Nisi Robinson. Don't miss our morning podcast. We just put out a new one. We didn't get all of it because that was my fault. But we do have a lot of videos, almost 900 videos, maybe even a little bit more. Go listen to them. Get in touch with us. You're always able to connect with us even if we're not on air. Even if there's a question you see, you can do the answer. We have a Thursday. Think about Thursday. We have new post for that up. Answer the questions. We like it when you like it. Can I just say that? When you click like, we like that. We're asking a question so that you can think about your connection. So we can put something good on the mind, your powerful mind, your powerful heart. Its ability is amazing to do the things that they do. Is really amazing. I want to thank you as my audience. I want to thank my co-hosts for hanging in there, being resilient with me. She has graduated with a full degree in early childhood education. Congratulations. And don't forget, guys, we do have our own page on about graduation. If you have a graduation, I don't care if they're 100 years old, let's acknowledge them because we're going to do our own graduation speeches, and that's going to be coming up. So we need to put your graduate's name down or school, whichever you prefer. You can do a abbreviation. We want to keep it safe, and we have a graduation that we want our podcast to be on. So from the little ones to the more mature ones, whether you graduated pre-K, kindergarten, high school, college, police, fire, law school, we want to know. So if you're listening today, please add them so that we can put them on our graduation site because we have a special graduation podcast dedicated to all of you. You want to meet us next time? Be sure to be back at 11:30. If we're not here on Fridays, because sometimes we are not, I guarantee you it is with good reason. For those of you who are used to coming to the office, we're now doing it on Zoom. And you can step in, not on Zoom only, but on any kind of video that you have. And if you have any questions, even those who want to come in and be guest speakers, we'll take that. Thank you for joining our group, and we will talk soon. This is Vibe Talk Finally Friday group sessions. My name is Nisi Robinson, and this is on resilience. Becoming resilient and knowing how to challenge that. Have a good day. Thank you.